Alrighty, so I've got some more questions on peptides, and so I thought I'd go through some of my favorite ones. And I'll tell you what the internet is saying, because peptides are kind of in that strange category, not quite as bad as stem cells, but talking about them isn't super open. So, okay, real quick. So some of my favorite ones, a lot of these are put into blends. One of my favorite blends is Clo. And Clo has a couple different things in it, so I'll start with those. BPC 157 is body protection compound. We've seen the internet, not we, the internet has seen significant healing function, decreased inflammation. Heard stories of disc patients where pain was pretty intense. They were looking at doing injections like cortisone injections, epidural steroid injections, and they started doing this particular individual did the Clo, the whole thing, and it significantly helped reduce the pain and inflammation in about 3 or 4 days. This person had been having issues for weeks, and 3 or 4 days got to the point where they could move around without very much pain at all. BBC has been brought in a lot for gut issues, and it's really, really great for celiac, IBS, stuff like that. The BBC 157 is derived from a gastric enzyme that helps heal the gut and the lining and stuff like that. So it's pretty solid. The research on it shows that it helps to kind of give a lattice work for the body to heal itself. And it does a really, really good job. So TB500 or thimerosine beta 4 basically is a thymus issue that really kind of helps systemic function, lymph function. When you combine BPC 157 and TB500, we get a synergistic effect from healing. People have been using this for a long time. Lots and lots of reports of, that achy shoulder, that knee, that type of thing. We've seen it be really beneficial. The internet has seen it be really beneficial for kids with Osgood-Schlatter's and like Sever's disease and stuff like that, where we have these ligament tendon damages to the bone, that type of thing. It's been shown on the internet to be really, really good as a combination for gut and for brain stuff. So, it's one of those things that, any type of gut issues, celiac, SIBO, that type of stuff, it'd be something to look at. Anytime that you've got a joint issue, especially if it's chronic, you tweak something in the gym, and you've got tendonitis, golfer's elbow, tennis elbow, that type of thing. This is one of those options that's really great at not only knocking out the pain, but actually kind of helping the body heal. Clo also has a compound called GHK-Cu. GHK-Cu or GHK copper is a natural enzyme that your body has all the time, and it helps your body create new blood vessels and heal old blood vessels so that we can deliver more oxygen to the body. Now, there are, again, internet reports of, since COVID is a vascular issue that decreases blood vessel size and causes hypoxic changes, this would be beneficial for that. Not saying I've seen that or done anything with that, but that's what the internet says. So vet that. When you combine, KPV is another thing that's in Clo, and that really helps kind of shift the pain piece, shut down the pain piece of inflammation. So inflammation is actually a really good thing. It tells your body to regenerate and repair, and it kind of walls stuff off, and it radically increases growth hormones and things like that to regenerate and repair, but it also creates some pain. And the KPV kind of helps block the part that creates the pain, so that while your body's healing, everything else kind of calms down. So if you've got those joint issues, if you've got some of those muscle ache things, where there's small tears, things like that, this is what, again, according to the internet, has been really, really helpful at healing, helping the body heal those things. So if you've heard about BPC 157, we've got reports of a lot of people coming in and they've started getting off some of their medication. Their pain medication, their arthritis medication, their steroids, their that type of stuff, because this stuff helps come in and not only knock out the pain, but it actually helps the body heal what's actually the problem. So after a little bit of time, these chronic issues start calming down and going away because the body finally got the tools it needed to heal them, and so it helped heal them. So what's funny is that BPC 157 was compounded by compounding pharmacies and stuff like that all the time. And then the government came out and were like, you guys can't compound this anymore. It doesn't work. So that's why you can't get it from a normal compounding pharmacy. What I have seen is that it works really, really well online, and it's significantly helping people get off their medications for chronic pain and stuff like that. So maybe that's why it got banned. But it is what it is. It's a great peptide. If you guys can find it from a reliable source, it's fantastic. My other favorite one is retatrutide. Now, I've been a fan of the GLP-1s if they're used properly. And I've said this a lot of times, the vast majority of the problems we have with GLP-1s isn't with the GLP-1, it's with the way the provider used it. So it's like, oh, just take this and you'll be fine. Didn't tell them that they've got to, work out or increase their androgens or any of the things that you actually have to do to make this process functional work. Guys, if you end up eating a whole lot less or nothing, and you're not prepped for it for days, your body's going to tear apart your muscle tissue. That's how it works, especially if you're still in a glucose-fed state. So the problem, again, wasn't with the peptide. It was with the providers who were giving it. Now, retatrutide is a GLP-3, so it's the most advanced form we've seen. The muscle wasting is significantly less with it. But the big thing about it, and it'll help you lose lots of fat. That's great. However, where the fat is that you're losing is really important because it helps break down visceral fat. Visceral fat's the thing that creates all the chronic inflammation. It's what leads to sleep apnea. It's a big part of the reason why cholesterol plaques in your arteries. So it's a very, very, very bad thing. We've got to get rid of the visceral fat. And the best tools we have to do that are the GLP-1 peptides. The GLP-3 retatrutide is significantly better at it. Now, here's the fun thing that people don't want to talk about. A lot of people have tried the diet. They've tried the exercise. They've done those things, and it didn't work for them. The reason it didn't work for them is because of the chemicals in our food, water, and air have been poisoning us for so long, it's literally broken your metabolism. And so what happens is you have this giant amount of inflammation. Inflammation holds insulin levels high. If insulin levels are high, your body cannot switch on and use glucagon. Glucagon is the hormone that tells your body to start using fat as a fuel source. So if you're highly inflamed, you can change your diet, you can exercise, and most of the time you're not going to get the gains you're looking for. So using these GLP-1s and GLP-3s is fun. Anyway, to fight back at resetting this insulin-glucagon ratio is really, really, really beneficial. Now, you can stay on them for a while, or you can kind of get on and get off. Just, again, make sure you're working with somebody who knows what they're doing on these things. But we have seen amazing things happen with the GLP-3s because the GLP-3s specifically enhance insulin sensitivity. So all this insulin resistance, all these major problems are caused by that, we see start to calm down. Now, the really cool thing is that insulin resistance is a whole body issue. And so we've had a lot of women, again, reported online, that endometriosis, PCOS, and just bad menstrual cycles get significantly better. I'll talk to people online and ask them about their menstrual cycles, and they're just like, it went from a 6 to a 2. Like they're like, a little bit less flow, but the pain was significantly less. The cramping was significantly less. Women who had, classically unbelievably terrible menstrual cycles are all of a sudden they're calming way down. They're feeling much, much better. And it's been really, really beneficial. One of the other pieces of this is, remember, if we can remove that visceral fat, we can remove all that chronic inflammation. Well, this is systemic inflammation. Remember, systemic is whole body. So it's brain, it causes the brain fog, causes the irritation, the irritability, but it also inflames the uterus and the ovaries, which is why one of the reasons why when they start functioning and they start going through their cycle, they start spooling up and getting painful. So applying this decrease in total body inflammation and really helping with insulin sensitivity has been a really, really big game changer. So remember, a lot of people are keeping, like, well, you're not doing the diet right, or you're not doing the exercise right. And there's a lot of that. I'm not trying to say people aren't lazy and they're not doing the stuff right. That is definitely a thing. However, I keep talking to people who, again, online, who have been doing these things right, have been doing a pretty clean diet, have been working out a little bit, and they can't seem to break that tide over. And we get them on the GLP-3s. They clean up their diet just a touch, and sometimes they don't have to clean up that much. And all of a sudden, they start losing the visceral fat. They start losing the adipose fat. These people are losing 15 pounds and 15, 20 pounds in 6-8 weeks, really easily. And then all of a sudden, as this weight starts coming off, and they can breathe better, and they're getting better sleep, because most people haven't had their sleep apnea diagnosed. as they're starting to, get better at that type of stuff, all of a sudden they start having, oh, now I have the energy to go work out. Now that I'm in better sleep, I have better thought process through the day. I have more energy. I can go work out. I can go do these things. So there's a significant amount of benefit to this stuff. Now, the other thing that's been really beneficial, again, online, for a lot of people is the Peptides and stuff like that. If you dose it properly, calms down the food noise. And so they're just not craving all this stuff all day long, which is interesting because it calms down all irritating little cravings. And so this is why some of these GLP-1s and GLP-3s, again, when used properly, have been showing significant benefit to helping people stop other addictions like alcohol. I was talking to a guy online, and he was telling me about how he'd been on, the Peptide for about a month, and how he'd been low-key trying to quit drinking for a couple of years. And he said that, it's kind of interesting because he hadn't had anything to drink for 3 weeks because it wasn't one of those things that was constantly telling him, hey, you should go get some alcohol. Just calm down those food noises, those addictive noises as well. So again, what peptides have been able to do is people who understand hormone function, people who understand metabolic function, these have given us really, really, really awesome tools to help tweak and dial in the metabolic function of the body. And remember, metabolic function is how your entire body functions. So when you use these things properly, it's been really, really, really beneficial to, getting some of those things that should work. Like if you exercise and you eat right, you should lose the weight. You should gain the muscle. However, because of the way our metabolic system has been hijacked by, again, all the chemicals in our food, water, and air, our bodies have been kind of desensitized and broken. And so sometimes we have to go back and fix that damage so the body will work the way it was designed to. Again, same thing with peptides is true, same thing with stem cells. Nothing will heal the body. The only thing that heals the body is the power that made the body. And it's pretty easy to see when someone dies and the power that made the body leaves, stem cells, peptides, hormones, drugs, nothing makes them better. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to give the body the tools it requires to heal itself and fix itself the way it was designed to. So this is also why a lot of times people are talking about how peptides are more of a natural function than they are pharmaceutical. Because instead of forcing the body to do something it's not designed to do, these peptides are helping the body get back to and really enhance the way that it naturally does things. Again, it gives the body the tools it requires to do the job it was designed to do. And that's why they're being so effective. And that's why if you use them properly, there's so little side effects. So if you guys have any other questions about them, definitely look them up. Look into them. There's definitely some guys out there who know what they're doing with them. There's a lot of people who don't. Just make sure they're clean and you know where they're getting from. But they can use properly. They can really, really help break through a lot of plateaus. They can help you get over a lot of issues. If you've got gut issues, I would definitely look into using them as part of your gut detox. Kill the parasites, reduce the yeast. Start rebuilding the gut. But that rebuilding the gut, that gut lining thing, again, from what we see on the internet. That BBC 157 TB 500 mix, especially if you're using the whole clove, is a phenomenal way to kind of help the body regenerate and heal the gut. So again, if everything comes back to the gut, I would spend some time figuring out how these things work on the gut and work on them there, because it is a spectacular tool to add into any of the protocols that people do for gut healing, for detox, and for stuff like that. So if you haven't been looking into these things, I definitely would. If you guys have other questions or anything like that, drop them in the comments. There's lots of people who've been using these things, who've been seeing great results with them. And if you have questions on, the only thing we can't answer is that will it fix this or will it fix that? But like I said, the internet has lots of information. You just have to vet it a little bit better. But yeah, ask some questions. If you guys, I wouldn't necessarily go with people who don't understand metabolic function. This is why the GLP-1s are getting such a bad rap. High dose once a week. That's just everybody gets, with no secondary supplementation, no liver support, no methyl B vitamin support, no amino acid support, no androgen support to help your body heal, regenerate, repair, like testosterone or one of the growth hormone adjuncts, like CJC 1295, Sermorelin, Ipamorelin, or one of those, without giving your body something to grow, regenerate, and heal with. You are going to see a little bit of muscle loss, but the muscle loss thing is pretty easy to remedy with just a little bit of motion, a couple of amino acids, and some type of hormone support. which I would highly recommend if you guys are going to do anything for healing, you get your testosterone levels up first, because that's your natural healing hormone. It's not synthetic in any way. It's not unnatural. It's not cheating. That's the government and pharmaceuticals companies trying to lie to you so that you will be all broken and need all their drugs. If you give the body the chemicals it requires to heal, it does an amazing job healing. And testosterone is the primary chemical for that. So get that chemical nutrient in, that testosterone nutrient in, and then stack on top these peptides. And lots of people that we've seen online have had really, really good results with them. So if you guys have any other questions, hit us up. Thanks for your time.